Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott talking Bootstrap. I'm in the fourth of 11 presentations that I'm making from the webcodegeeks.com. Two things before we start. The first you already know, you've heard, and that is I'm taping this in my basement, so there's a little bit of an echo and the sound isn't as nice. I'm sorry. It's just the way that it worked. And secondly, if the phone starts ringing, which it started to do while I was producing the last presentation, I'm going to immediately look for the key on the here so that I can pause the video. Alright, just so you're aware of that. So if it seems like it cuts out and then comes back again, that'll be why. So the fourth one that we're doing here is on Bootstrap tabs. As they mentioned, tabs are used to separate content into different panes, where each pane is viewable one pane at a time. They allow you to basically put a lot of stuff in a little area, for lack of better words. Bootstrap uses CSS to style tabs inside of them and JavaScript to switch to the desired tab. So, as always, we've got our start, and I've already copied this in, so I've got a thing called tabs.html. I've got the initial setup. So, we're right here. What we want to do is to create this. This is the final product. So notice home and what it says here. Then notice that if I go to profile, how it changes. Drop down 1, it changes to something else, and drop down 2 to yet something else. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. So the example says the default example is the most important one to consider when using tabs. The markup follows a logical way of organizing code. First, the markup for the titles of the tabs are created together with their corresponding HTML attributes. Then the tab content is added and one of them is assigned as active. Alright, so again, I'm going to grab, as I've been doing, grab everything in here. So let's start by doing that. And then we'll grab this stuff in just a minute. So as always, I'll come down to my body section, paste that in. You already know what this is, how it works, etc. Okay. Again, as previously mentioned, I'm trying to set this up so that you can see everything on the screen at one time. And that's why you're seeing some of this stuff over several lines. Now, could I do this in another way? I'm sure that I could. All I want to do is just basically, as you know, is get the stuff out there. So that's my goal right here. So see, we've got a couple drop downs here. Doing the best I can to line this up. It isn't perfect, but it's not terrible either. So. And actually, where I had that, that's okay. Leave it like that. So this is going to set up the drop downs, everything that's in here. This is going to start to add the content then. This is an extremely long paragraph. I don't want to bore you with it, so I'll just very quickly just do this a little bit just so you can see what's going on here. So once we've done that, and I am going to actually run this. Alright, so once we've done that, we've got our drop downs and we've got our what's in the paragraph for the first one. There's nothing in here yet for this, but these are functional, but they don't change at all. So you can see that. Alright, so we've got that done. That's a start. And we're going to come back in here then and add all of the stuff that you see here. Copy that to the clipboard, and ideally this will be our result when we get done. So we've got that stuff there done. So let's move down to here, hit enter a time or two, paste. Alright. Again, this won't look fantastic, but it'll be okay. Separate these out here. I think that's all of them. Alright. This doesn't make it run any better what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to do this so that as I separate this stuff out, you can kind of see what supposedly is going with what. That's my goal here. And again, you can see that, try to push that down a little bit so you can see what's going on here. And I'm almost finished. Alright. One more to go after this one, and then we can look at it and see whether or not it works. I've actually been quite impressed with the luck I've been having getting this stuff to work today. Just about finished. Just these two lines and that should do it. Okay, so this whole thing is in a div. So that should be moved over. All of these should be. Alright, now for the big unveiling. Let's save this and run it. Okay? Now what I'm wondering is if there is, in the example, if they have someplace in here, they must have some CSS, because this is not taking up the whole screen. So in other words, that's the other example. So let's look at that, and let's view the page source. Yes, they did put some CSS right there. Okay. So, we'll come in here. We'll open here our CSS style 1. Okay, and I'm going to add in here. In fact, put this in. Select all, paste. And I'm going to do a file, save as, and I'm going to call this one style2.css. There it is. Okay, and then in my actual file here, sorry, which is right down here. I'm going to change that to right at the top where I've got style 1. I'm going to change that to style 2. So let's quickly take a look at what we did there. We said for the body we want a width of 38%. We want a margin of 10 ems on the top and bottom and 12 ems on the right and left. In our tabs, we want a bottom margin of 15 pixels. So let's see if that made it look a little bit more like what they showed. Okay, I think it's looking pretty good now. Okay, so that's it. Did I miss anything? Let's take a look. So there's the results. Oh, what they do show in here in this chapter and in several other chapters is they talk about some of the methods and events that you can work on with this. Now I'm going to let you read that yourselves. There just isn't enough time to go over all this stuff. But again, this is a good starting point, and as always, go to getbootstrap.com and then take a look at tabs if you want more of this and you want more examples. So, tab-based navigation provides an easy and powerful mechanism to handle a huge amount of content within a small area. It does this by separating content into different panes, where each pane is viewable one at a time, and the user can quickly switch back and forth between panes without leaving the page. So that's the example here and here. So what I'm going to do is, that's been saved now, as has that. So I'm going to go over to my template, and the next one that I'm going to be going over here is going to be panel. So I'm going to save everything here, copy, paste, and this will become Bootstrap panel examples, and I will save that. This will become 05 panels, 05 panels.html. Alright, so we will start with that in just a couple minutes. In fact, while I've got everything here, let's just go to the panel example, which is next, extract that, open this up, we'll come back to the folder here, and just so you can see it, so this is the panel. So what we're going to be creating in there is this. You can see the panels. Okay, hopefully you can see that. It comes out okay on your screen. Alright, so I will be back to do that one literally within a matter of minutes.